All right, this is part two of the history of country music, as far as my limited knowledge of it is. I neglected to state that Vernon Dalhart had the first million-selling country song back in 1925 when he recorded the "Prisoner" song, written by Guy Massey. Uh, Vernon Dalhart was not a country singer, but he saw the value of doing country records, and somehow he took a liking to it, and he started doing all country music. Maybe it had to do with the dollars, I don't know. But he had a great voice, a very special voice, and he's the first artist to have a million seller in country music. And as I said, that was the "Prisoner" song. Carl T. Spragg was an authentic cowboy, and he had a recording that sold 900,000 copies on "When the Work's All Done This Fall." Carl Spragg and Red River Dave and Harry McClintock were all regarded as cowboy singers, cowboy type singers. Uncle Dave Macon, one of the first true stars on the Grand Ole Opry, made a lot of early recordings in the 20s. And the king of country music himself, Roy Acuff, came along and had some big hits with "The Great Speckled Bird," "Wabash Cannonball" was his signature song. "The Precious Jewel," "Great Judgment Morning," "The Wreck on the Highway." So he had many, many great songs. "Tennessee Central Number 9." And so anyway, Roy Acuff was regarded as the king of country music, and that's a pretty high standard. So Roy Acuff, of course, has passed away, but he was a huge star on the Grand Ole Opry back before a lot of the others came along. Um, so I think I left off with Gene Shepard. I'd like to mention some other people. Ferlin Husky, who had hits like "Wings of a Dove," "Gone," Sonny James, "Young Love," both great artists. Buck Owens, I believe, started out in the late 50s. He made an attempt at doing non-country music, songs like "Hot Dog" and a bunch of songs like that. Of course, Buck was not the only one guilty of that. A lot of people tried to do recordings that would sell when rock and roll was at its height. They tried to make recordings adjusting a bit to the rock and roll side of music, which I didn't really appreciate, but I loved the music of Cowboy Copas and Buck Owens. Buck Owens became a huge star, a huge country star, and Buck was one of my favorites, actually. He really was. After he settled into the true country style that he got into, like "Fooling Around" and "Excuse Me, I Think I Got a Heartache," "Mental Cruelty" with Rose Maddox, that great duet that they did. George Jones had some great early hits with "A Girl I Used to Know," "You Comb Her Hair," "Color of the Blues," and many other songs. George, of course, became a giant in the country field. Johnny Cash is legendary. I don't need to tell you about him. You probably already know. He started on Sun Label, and the guy that ran Sun Records, Sam Phillips, wanted him to sing only secular songs. And actually, Johnny had a thought of becoming a gospel singer in the beginning, but Sam Phillips rejected that idea and told him he wasn't going to sell anything unless he did secular music, which turned out to be true. However, Johnny did get some recordings done on Sun Label. I was there when it happened. Belshazzar were the first two sides that Sam agreed to record that were gospel songs. Johnny later, of course, became great friends with Billy Graham, Reverend Billy Graham. And Johnny's career is legendary. Johnny and June Carter, his wife, from the famous Carter family. Another Carter sister that sang some great songs with Hank Snow was Anita Carter. She had the voice of an angel. She had a beautiful voice. And Anita Carter was probably the best singer in the whole family, in my opinion. So that puts us somewhere around the middle of the mid 50s, somewhere in that area. Farron Young came along, Ray Price came along, two great vocalists, Marty Robbins. What can I say? These people were spectacular. So it pretty much covers the 50s and early 60s. I'm going to miss a lot of people, but these are just some of the people I really appreciate. The last country artist that I really enjoyed was Highway 101 with Paulette Carlson as the lead singer. Ricky Skaggs, Ricky Van Shelton, Randy Travis. Uh, those people were all towards the end of what I would listen to. After Paulette left Highway 101, I basically stopped listening to country music after that, because to me that was the point when the music didn't interest me anymore after she left the group. But I still followed her as a solo. She is my favorite country girl singer of all time. There's of course Loretta Lynn, Connie Smith, Tammy Wynette. That's all before Paulette, of course, but they're all great girl singers, and there's just so many of them that I can't even think of them all. Lorrie Morgan, whose father was George Morgan, was also one of those 50 stars. George Morgan, they both had great voices. Lorrie still does. Uh, a lot of these people have passed away, but there's still a few left, and still a few with us. And of course, there's these great songs on YouTube. You can hear any of these artists at any time. So YouTube does a great service by allowing these songs to be listened to on a free basis. So anyhow, I know I've missed probably a lot of people. I mean, we could talk about Woody Guthrie and the Browns. We could talk about all those people, but it's probably getting a bit redundant. But hey, I love country music, and I've been loving it all my life. Hank Thompson, the Brazos Valley Boys, Hank Locklin. So many great country artists. All right, well, I'm gonna go. I hope you all have a great rest of Father's Day, and that you enjoyed my little talk here. I just want to get a couple of those things that I left out in here as well. All right, thank you. God bless.